Today we have an independent artist that hails from Ireland. He's gained over 2.5 million monthly listeners, has built himself a massive fan base on social media with over 1.7 million followers on TikTok. Yeah. And if you're someone that enjoys a catchy pop song with relatable messaging, you've definitely heard of our guest today. Welcome, Ryan Mack.
What's up, Ryan?
Oh, that's a killer intro.
Right?
Can I get that sent to me to play every time I walk into a room, please?
Yes, dude.
I need to make you feel welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I do. Thanks for the intro, Brie.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. So how are you guys?
We're good.
Doing very good.
We're good.
Even better now that you're here.
I wanted to start by asking about the boy band, because I love boy bands. I saw he was in a boy band. Ryan, what was that like going from being in a boy band to now being a solo artist? Like, what was that transition like? Was it hard? Do you miss it? Tell us everything.
Do I miss it? I miss the camaraderie with a band. It's kind of cool, you know. I got to travel around the world, so that's kind of a deep dive on it. Well, it's not really. Like, I don't think any of my TikTok followers, unless they kind of seen me in the band years ago from Ireland, not many of them do know about that kind of part. So I can kind of tell you briefly. There's a big like music manager over here in Ireland. His name is Louis Walsh, and he's on the X Factor UK. And he started a boy band, and he's had like numerous boy bands who've like taken over the UK charts. And he just put together another one. I ended up auditioning, got in. Long story short, we got signed to RCA and went just like toured the world and did all this kind of great big stuff. And it was amazing. Like, I got to tour with bands like, I'm not sure if you'll know them, but they're called the Vamps. They're pretty big over this side of the pond. They had a big song. They had Demi Lovato on a song. And it was pretty big back in the day. But we toured with them and a lot of other big acts. And it was great. And then I got to kind of taste that non-independent side of things. And I just kind of quickly realized that was a part, that was the career I wanted to do, because it was so amazing, you know. And then, yeah, we got dropped. We kind of, things fell apart after that. And it was just kind of a money thing, you know. We were signed and everything, and everybody thought we were making loads of money, and we weren't making any money at all.
Yeah, I have a question about that specifically. So since we're we really want to like be transparent with people, and as much as you're willing to share, but how do you go from being signed, touring the world, blah blah blah, to writing a song called Broke?
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you all about it, man. So like I said, we were signed in the band, touring everywhere, and then like towards the end of it, like, we hadn't really progressed. We got 2 #1 singles in Ireland, which, like, it sounds great, but it's like not that big. You don't have to push that many copies. And then we went to the UK, and they wanted to try the first single that went #1 over here. They wanted to try that in the UK, and the label kind of pushed it, and we did like promo. We did meet and greets and stuff, trying to just like sling as many copies. And it was kind of in that weird transition where Spotify had just become a thing where they took the generated streams and put it towards the chart, the chart system. So, you know, like before, it was like never deemed charitable from Spotify, and then they started taking those into the streams and converting them to sales. So it was kind of in that period. So we charted 102 in the UK charts, and that was our peak. And then the label just was like, I mean, we were living in, you know, obviously, you know, One Direction. So we were living in the guy Liam Payne. We were living in his apartment. Our record label were paying for it and stuff. And they just were like, "Oh yeah, you're moving out next month or something." we moved out, and then radio silence from the label, and then we got a bill for $350, or well, £350, saying like that was the cleaning fee for the apartment. Wow. And that was it. That was like no like radio silence, and then it was just like, what's going on? And then we got offered another record deal from a Japanese label, just in the territory of Japan, but Sony owned us globally, so we had to get out of that to like sign with Japan, and RCA wouldn't let it happen. So yeah, and then like the Japanese label. Oh no, actually, sorry, RCA asked the Japanese label for $50,000, and the Japanese label said, "Look, we're not a big label, we can't afford that. Can you just let it happen?" And they wouldn't let it happen, and then they fell away, and then we got dropped like 2 months later. So it was like,
was there, because that's such an awful experience, and that leaves such a terrible taste in your mouth. Was there a part of you after that was like, I don't even want to do music anymore?
No, to be honest, initially I was like, fuck, that was so good. Am I allowed to swear? Can we swear?
Go for it.
Or no? Oh, yeah, sorry. But well, I'll probably swear because I'm Irish. But I was like, that was so good, and I loved it that I knew I wanted to do music. But I suppose what kind of I actually did was I didn't do the music. I immediately went in and started writing songs and was like, I want to do this. And then I kind of got like a little bit bored, and I ran out of money very quick, and I got a day job delivering furniture to houses, and people would recognize me in Ireland. They'd be like, "Oh, you were in that band," and I'm like, "Okay, this is a real fall from grace." Yeah, so that was kind of weird, and then that was like the worst part of my life, I would say, because I'd gone from such a high to like literally working with like the most negative people who didn't like, older men who were like 50. Like I was out with a guy who's like 65 delivering furniture with him. I'm doing all the lifting. He's complaining that, he didn't want to be there. I'm saying I didn't want to be there. And it just becomes this vicious cycle of working Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Didn't do music at all when I came home. I didn't want to. Yeah. It was kind of shitty, man.
So how many, like the time period from when you were signed, how long were you signed, then you got dropped? How long was it until now? Okay, now I'm making a living off my music on my own.
It was a long time. So we were signed in like 2014, I want to say 2015 maybe 2014, I think, and then we got dropped in 2016.
Okay,
and then we played our last gig supporting Meghan Trainor in Madrid. And then we got dropped. we were actually, the day we played that gig, we were finishing. We knew, like previously, we said if we don't have a record deal on the table by then, we're just gonna completely like disband.
Yeah.
And we went out, opened up right before Meghan Trainor.
Killed it.
She came into our dressing room and was like, "I want to write songs for you guys," and we were like, "Yeah, about that," So then, I went into the furniture job in that December 2016, and I worked there till October 2017, and then I was doing gigs in pubs and restaurants and bars after I left there. I was releasing music towards the end of the time in that job, like 2 songs maybe, and then like March 2019, I released a song that was the first song I ever released that got playlisted on Spotify, and then even then I wasn't really making money because it hit like 1 million streams over a year, but then TikTok, man. I swear to God, TikTok just changed the game for me. Yeah. I was like literally broke. Broke is about, I can't be more honest in that song. So what's that, over like 5 years nearly until I was, and like I didn't make any money in that band. Like I said, none, zero. I was more broke then.
One thing I want to ask before we jump into TikTok is, when you were resetting from scratch as an independent artist, did you have anyone on your team? Did you have a manager? Was there anybody else around you, or was it just you?
Just me.
Wow.
I met with that guy, Louis, who managed the boy band. And I said, I want to do this by myself. I want to write the songs. Because I didn't write. I went to college before getting into that band and studied songwriting. But like, I didn't really, it was just like kind of School of Rock-esque. It was fun. So then like to go from wanting to write songs for a living to not writing any songs and having like some of the best songwriters in the world write songs for that band I was in. It was really weird. And then, I asked him to manage me. He was like, yeah, we'll do it. And then he just kind of went like cold shoulder and just like didn't really.
Have you ever like reached out to him since, or sent him a screenshot of like your DistroKid revenue?
He told me my songs weren't good enough. He told me my songs weren't good enough.
Oh, that's what I mean, bro. You gotta. I just want him to see. I know he's seen.
I'm sure he's
he
seen.
knows.
Man, forget turning this into a podcast. We need to write a script based off Ryan's life. This is a crazy story.
Honestly, man. Honestly. But yeah, so that was so it was just me then, because he didn't want it. And I was like, well, I'm going to have to do this myself. So I started doing it myself. When I was in that college, they kind of briefly, they had like a music business course or module, and I would have that once a week. And they kind of explained like the basics of like TuneCore and CD Baby. They were the only kind of 2 at the time. So I'd known about TuneCore, and that's who I decided to release through up until now. Like I still release through TuneCore.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it was just me, and I'd kind of, any connections I'd made through the band on radio in Ireland or anything, I would like exploit that and like be like, hey, look, remember I was in that band, blah, blah, blah. And then it quickly became, okay, I need to get away from that band and like being in that. And that's why I kind of like it's a blessing that TikTok people don't really know much
Yeah,
about it.
yeah.
Well, didn't in the beginning, because it allowed me to grow this fan base organically.
Yeah. No, I love
Yeah,
it.
so
As far as TikTok goes, how long were you on the app until you really started seeing an effect on your streaming?
effect on my streaming was broke. So I mean, my oldest video on there, I think, is the end of 2019, maybe, or maybe the start of it. But it's just like me, just singing an acoustic song. But when the pandemic hit is when I really tried to go at TikTok. I did a cover a day for like 6 months.
Wow.
Because like, there was nothing to do.
Yeah.
And that was just purely because I thought, okay, people won't want to hear my songs if they're not familiar with them. So like they know like all these TikTok. I would cover like Roxanne and stuff by Arizona Gervais, and 6 months, and I got 3,000 followers in 6 months, and one of my friends had blown up in the meantime and had like 200K, and I was like, I know I can get there, but I didn't know how, and then my girlfriend, because remember I was saying I was doing the pub gigs and stuff, they were gone because of COVID, so I was on this like, what did you get, like a stimulus check? That's like what you had over there. So over here we had like a weekly payment, like for anybody who was unemployed because of the pandemic. And I was on that for a while, and then that was gone. And then my girlfriend was like, you need to get a job. Like you're gonna have to get a job. And I was like sweating, thinking, what am I gonna do? And that was August. So I started in March, and then this was August 19th.
Wow.
And I had 3,000 followers. And then she said, you're gonna need to get a job. And then, or else you need to write a song, and really take this serious. And literally, I'm not joking. The next day, August 20th, 2020, I wrote Broke, start to finish. Yeah. So
incredible.
And then that's where the streams started coming in, man. That was my first video. It got 30K overnight, and I was like, I'm fucking famous. I made it. And then this girl told me to get a job in the comments. This girl just said, maybe get a job. Yeah. And I can understand where she was coming from, like as I was singing about being broke, and she's saying like, do something about it.
You're like, I am doing something about it, and you're watching it.
Yeah, well, exactly. So she was just like, reading the surface level stuff and was like, you're singing and screaming about being broke, change it and go get a job. And I was like, okay. So what I did was I wrote a second verse to Broke, explaining to her why I hadn't got a job, that the pandemic took that away. And then that, like, it was like a generous little clapback, and that went viral. Then was like 200K overnight, and I was like, okay. And then I just kind of built on that.
I can't think of a better way to handle a hater than to write a verse and make money off of that hate comment.
Yeah, it was good. But I've reposted it since, and she's a bit salty about it.
I love it.
She always like, she claimed I was bullying, or well, not I was bullying, but the followers were bullying her.
Wow.
And I was like,
hey, if you're going to bully someone, you can't be upset when people jump to defend that person. So
exactly.
So because of the content that we want to share, you went from broke, right? No real fan base, no real supporters. How many streams does that song have now on Spotify and Apple Music?
Well, I'll get you the exact number right now.
Okay, yeah. Because I want people to know, like, tangibly what that song did for you. And just that song,
Just that song.
Yep. Just that
has
song.
Now 23,581,507.
Just Broke has 23 million?
No, sorry. Just Broke?
Yeah,
that's
just
overwhelmed.
Broke. Yeah, just Broke. I want to know, just
Broke has 6,729,000.
Okay, so almost 7 million. And on Apple Music, probably another 2-3 million?
Apple Music has 2.5 million.
Yep. So let's call it 9 million, right? So just for, like, you've made almost 30 grand on that song.
Just streaming royalties.
Just streaming royalties, right?
Just streaming, yeah. And then YouTube's another.
Off of writing about a real experience, not complaining about it, really, just doing something about it,
Yeah.
You made
but before that, man, I would write songs about, like, what I thought people wanted to hear about, like what I was hearing on the radio, I love you, you love me, which is like, there's still room for those songs in my catalog, but I just scraped over the surface level and dug down deeper and was like, not afraid to be raw anymore because I had to. And that just opened up. Opened up Overwhelmed and speaking about that kind of anxiety and stuff like that and anything else,
What's the minimum average household income in Ireland?
It's probably like, I think maybe between 18,000 and 25,000.
So one song, and you covered it.
Covered it, yeah.
Crazy.
Congrats, man. It's amazing.
Thanks, man.
I want to jump into Overwhelmed. I want to talk about that because, like, that's I know that's the first thing I saw about Ryan because I have crazy anxiety. I related to the song. I loved it. And that one has 23 million streams on Spotify. Where did you get the idea for that song, and when did you know it was going to be such a hit?
So, like, I start doing these, like, if I had a verse on, which you do really well as well, Connor.
Oh, thank you.
It's like really, really cool. And your ones, I'm always looking at yours. I'm like, damn, he puts so much more effort in than I do. Like, it's like,
well, thank you. I probably should be putting more effort into my original, so we'll take it as even there.
The back and forth, the whole, it's put together so smoothly, man.
Thank you,
I
man.
really admire how you do it. But yeah, I started doing those, and they just kind of started being a thing for me. And the duets, I think actually the first thing was Charlie Puth's duet, the "You Stress Me Out" thing that he did. I did that, and then it came off, and then the duets started becoming a thing for me. I was like, oh well, if I just take people's instrumentals and like write a feature, like Black Bear's on if anyone has a feature, it's like Black Bear's on it. And I was like, I want to be the TikTok Black Bear in a sense. So I started doing them, and then Overwhelmed was one that had started taking off on TikTok, and I was like, I'll do one for that. I sat down to do it, couldn't do it. Like, was stressed out, couldn't figure it out. And then I was going through a pretty shitty time with, like, all the followers and stuff were great, and the streams were great, but I was like, what's the end goal? Like, you know, how do I branch this over and really, really lift the streams? And then my girlfriend actually said to me again, she was like, what about that Overwhelmed one you were doing a while ago?
Man, your girlfriend needs an award.
I know, she needs like half the pay. So she was like, yeah, what about that Overwhelmed one? And I was like, oh yeah, I was thinking of doing that again. So I sat down and I wrote the first verse first, which was, and that was all I had written. And then I put it up, and it went like, it was my biggest video instantly. I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but like, I think it's on like 6 million views now. And that was like the reason. Then I knew it was, so I was just like, that's just a TikTok thing. I'm never going to do that on Spotify. It's just content. And then every time I uploaded something, somebody would comment underneath it, when are you doing the full version of Overwhelmed? Blah, blah, blah. To the point where it literally got overwhelming, for a lack of a better word. So then I was like, okay, let's jump to YouTube. I can, you know, make revenue there. So I did, but I had to write a second verse. I wrote that second verse, which actually ended up being the most viral one. And once I wrote that, I put it on YouTube on the Wednesday, and that night I put the TikTok up, and I just said full video on YouTube, and instantly, like a week, it had 1 million views on YouTube. Wow. And then when it got to 5 million views on YouTube, I was like, I told I've got a manager, and I told him, I was like, we're not doing it on Spotify. I don't want to be singing somebody else's song for the rest of my life. I was really kind of like, I don't know. It was like, I didn't want to do that. I don't know why it was like this mental block that I was like, I felt too proud or whatever. And then I realized, I'm like, people sample music all the time. And like, you know, Powfu has that, don't stay awake for too long. Like, that's Bia Doobie or whatever her name is. That's her doing that chorus, and he just took it. So I was like, I'll treat it as like a remix or whatever. And then, legally we had to clear some stuff with publishers and labels and stuff.
And you had to pay for that?
I had to pay, $7.5 grand for that. So I knew I had to at least make 2 million streams to cover my nut on it. And yeah, it made that in 3 weeks, maybe less.
Crazy.
Yep. And now it's your most streamed song.
Yeah, now it's my most streamed song, and constantly growing, and just doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. So I don't really know how it got to this point, but it did.
And I have a different opinion on this. So I want to ask you, because I feel like if you're, like, I personally don't want to do remix. I don't want to do covers. I don't want to do, because I feel when people find it, they will follow you because they like the song already that you're covering, or they like the song, you know, the instrumental that you're putting a verse on. They already like that stuff. So if they follow you, it's because they don't like your actual music, they don't like your original music, they like the song that you're putting a verse on or covering. And I've always felt like that is not the best way to gain a true fan or to gain a a real listener, but it's obviously worked for you. So I want to know like your opinion on it and where are you going to keep doing it, or are you like fading away from it? What's your plan with that?
Yeah, so like that's you kind of summarized it well there. That's probably the reason that I was hitting that mental block of I do not want to do this on Spotify, and purely because I was like, oh, somebody has a song, they're going to be like, I love that song, and then never like another song. But the thing is, it's like they see the originality in it, and realize that it's like, like I don't like when people are like, it's this is better than the original. Like I don't like taking pride in that or anything, but there's people that always say it about my version of Overwhelmed, and they're like, I relate to this one more or whatever because of what I kind of say in the second verse. And then once I just kind of came to terms with that it's like I've put the bits that went viral on TikTok for me were not the chorus. Mm-hmm. It was the two verses that I wrote. So I was able to kind of like separate that and be like, okay, well, this is original, I wrote it, and it's the bit that connected with everyone, and that's kind of and like it's literally changed my life. So I can't really dwell on it too much, but I am trying to kind of validate your point. I'm trying to get away from it a little bit in terms of like just because I've had success now with my own stuff, just doing it like the way you do it, Nick. It's just like telling them how it is, what the song's about, what and they can relate to that, and really, really dive into you as an artist rather than the guy who does duets and rewrites on TikTok.
Just to piggyback off of that, just to build on this, I think what Ryan did that was really smart and why it worked is when people do remixes, it's often a really popular song already on TikTok. Like What's Poppin', it was the #1 trending song. But I had never heard the original Overwhelmed before. The first time I heard it was Ryan's version. So I think he took a song that was a little more underground and brought it up, rather than what other people are doing is they're remixing already poppin' songs. So that's why I think this extra layer of it worked for him happened. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that to the point that like it was, I think at the time I covered it, it might have had like 30 million, or the time I'd remixed it, it might have had 30 million streams itself on Spotify.
Did other artists cover it? Did Christian Gates covered it?
Christian Gates, and then everybody thought I was like having a go at him because his one says just relax. Or no, his one says like, just don't get overwhelmed. His is basically like, mine's the rebuttal to his, but it was never actually targeted at him. And me and him spoke. It was all good. No, there was no hard feelings.
What about did Connor Maynard do one?
Could have.
I don't know. That might have been a different one.
All I know is like when I went to them, like, because I was like, maybe I could just get on, Royal and the Serpent's version as an official remix, and then it will seem like the feature that I was kind of trying to create and brand myself as. But they didn't want it because they had the original one, and then they had Christian Gates one, and then like this one would have been three goes at the same song.
Now you reproduced it too, right?
Yeah, I reproduced everything. So the term is, so it's not a sample. It's called an interpolation, which means that you've just resung the lines, and there's no actually original audio from the original track in it. So hence why I had to get cleared on the publishing side of things.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah, it's good. Man.
One question I had: you still live in Ireland, correct?
Yeah, still live here. Yeah,
that's amazing. Have you ever felt like I need to be in LA or I need to be in New York or any of those cliches that people assume are like the hubs of the entertainment?
Yeah. Well, like I was trying to do this music thing long before TikTok, like I said, with the band and stuff like that. So London is like the closest place. So I do take trips over there, like once every month or two. It's only an hour flight, so I can just go. I can get in a bunch of writing sessions with people, and get a bigger catalog with better writers and stuff or whatever. But I have like my manager's in LA, but he's Irish, but he lives in LA. So I do want to go there at some point. I was speaking to Nick about this, that like I want to do the songwriting thing as well. I want to be like, I want people to look at the credits and be like, oh, Ryan Mack's on that. But I'm not, but like has nothing to do with any bit of the like forefront. So that's always been a long-term goal. So I kind of like feel it's in the future at some point. Whether I live there or just like do stints there is another thing. I'm not
and I
too
feel
sure.
like, because we spoke about this as well. But when I hear a song, I'm like, John Bellion wrote that, right? Like I know Trumpets by Jason Derulo, the hook on Eminem's Monster, any of the latest Justin Bieber album. Like I hear it, I'm like, oh, John wrote that. Like I know immediately. And I feel like you also have a similar style of melody, because I think what's big about John is his melody choices. They're very unique, and I think you have that as well. So I think you will be able to stand out and have a similar career. I really do think that for you.
Thanks, man. That's the like it's always been a thing. It was like I always thought I would get published first and then get a record deal. Now I don't want a record deal. And
speaking of that, you did do a deal, right? Similar to a deal that I did. Yeah. In a sense. But you remained your independence through the whole thing. Would love to learn why you chose to go with that type of deal, why you have no interest in a label anymore, when before you may have pursued, or even considered or even wanted to be signed to a label. Would love to know why your opinion on that has changed and what felt right about the deal that you did do.
Yeah, so like the first time we met, we jumped on a Zoom. Me and you just were having a chat before it, and you had said to me, I was speaking to a lot of labels at the time because I was Overwhelmed out? I don't think it was even out. No, it wasn't. But I was speaking to labels at the time, and like, they do this thing where they plumaz you and want to tell you you're the best thing ever and, grease you up. And they were doing that, and I was speaking to you, and then you were like, do you want a record deal? And I was like, I think so, yeah. I see it as, at the time, I was still broke. I'd made like a little bit of money off broke, but I was like, yeah, I do. So then flash forward and Overwhelmed comes out, and that goes even bigger than broke, and then all these labels are on top of me again, and I'm doing Zooms, everything with them, and it just becomes this like carousel of like meetings and like, yeah, we're gonna offer and stuff, and it's all this like pulling you in, and there's all these false hopes because they all just like fall to the wayside or whatever, or they'd like stick around for long enough where they might see a dip in something, and then they just kind of like, oh no, he's not the real deal, or whatever they just make their mind up. And so like the deal that I ended up doing is a licensing deal. So I licensed Overwhelmed and my back catalog, so it was like six songs in total, and I got a huge advance. I got a 70-30 split on the master in favor of me, and it's a 5-year deal. I get all the masters back after 5 years, and they've already like held up their end of the bargain of like boosting the streams on the songs. Like they said, they're an independent, they're a distributor from Sweden called Amuse, and they're really, really good, and they're looking to do these kind of deals with people, who everything's all statistics. They get a rundown of my whole, the back end of everything, and they can predict how many streams I'm going to earn, how many they can kind of elevate it to, and then they can base your advance off that. And it's just a more logical way of dealing with it rather than, and then like you said, no future releases were bound into that contract. So
that's amazing.
The day before I signed the contract, I'd already released a song called Sad Fuck, and that was completely independent, back on TuneCore. It cost me $10 a year to release. So yeah, it was, to kind of break it down in a nutshell. It's like, I didn't take a record deal because nobody offered me a deal. I can't say that I wouldn't have taken something. I probably would have in desperation of like money.
But now you know what the options are.
Yeah, I didn't know this thing existed. I didn't know like Amuse or a distributor. I'd known of like AWOL and stuff, and Lauv is like remained independent.
Lauv is great, man. He's independent. He built a team around him, and he gets 50% of everything.
Exactly, yeah.
Crazy.
But like he's like an anomaly. You don't hear that a lot. So I'd known that kind of existed, but I was always kind of like, I don't know. I always just thought I'd be the only way coming up in this, like you're taught from like a young age when you get into music, or maybe you're not taught, but it's just like everybody else is signed who's in the charts. So you kind of think I have to get signed to get to that level.
And lately when you talk to even signed artists, they're telling you to stay independent.
Yeah, I've spoken to many friends of mine who've signed, and they're like, they can't believe the deal I got.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, just stay independent now. And I'm like,
because the deal you got is like, how do you say no?
Yeah,
it's literally like, what am I missing? You know?
Yeah.
Why would I not? Now, but one thing I do real quick before people, a licensing deal is you still own your master. You're not signing as an artist. You're signing whatever songs you choose. And Ryan chose to do all of his catalog of music that was released already. Nothing moving forward.
Which was roughly how many songs?
6
songs.
I think 6, yeah.
He still owns them, and they're just leasing the master so that they will make money on it. And the way it's structured as well, to break it down, 70-30. Ryan gets an advance. Ryan needs to pay the advance back out of his 70% split, while they make 30% on the side. Right, so it's a win-win, right? And if they work hard and they do their job, Ryan will be able to pay them his advance back that much faster, and then start to make money on the songs again. Now, I do want to say one thing: it's if you don't have a plan for the advance money, if you don't, if you're just like, oh, I just want the money up front, and you don't have a plan to turn that money into more money, then maybe don't even do it, because you're going to make that money regardless. But if you have a plan for how you're going to spend it, how you're going to grow it, how you're going to turn it into more money, how you're going to invest it, how you're going to get your life situated so you can be able to make more music, then it makes sense,
Yeah, for sure, man. I couldn't put it better than that. Like it's only money if that's all it is. If you don't do anything with it, it'll go quick. Whereas now, like, and we spoke about this before, Nick, as well. It's like now when I'm releasing the song, you actually just told me to kind of calculate how many streams do I need to make to cover what I just spent on this song.
Yeah.
And I try to keep it to a minimum. Like I've got a guy who mixes in the US, and he's not expensive.
Yeah.
I get it mastered in London, again, not too expensive. I do all the production myself. And then that way I only have to, it's probably like $600.
Yeah.
So I've got to make like what, 100, 200,000 streams maybe.
That is my favorite way to quantify it. And I don't do it by how much money I'm making. I do it by this song, What do I think this song is going to do? How much am I willing to invest in this song? I'm not going to spend more now because I'm making more money. That's not the smart way to do it. It's always, I need to, as a business, I need to make sure that my investment in this song is going to yield, a return.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the way, like, for me, when I signed it, I was like, okay, now I couldn't do music videos at all. I know you too have like, a nice way with that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, but like, I have a friend he lives about 4 hours away, and he's like busy with other stuff. So it's like, I can now, afford to kind of up the game in the music video department. Yeah. But even like overwhelmed, like my most viewed video on YouTube is shot on an iPhone 11.
Yes.
With a fucking...
Say it louder for the people in the back.
Yeah,
Russ's most viewed music video, I think maybe it's either Losing Control or What They Want. What They Want, he literally had a plan for a different music video. It didn't work out. They saw this little shack as they were driving. They pulled off the road. They made the trees pink.
Yeah.
And now this is one of his most viewed videos, one of his most played songs. People overthink this stuff.
I just looked at Jeremy Zucker. I'd never seen the music video before for that Come True, his big tune. It's just him performing it. Like it's not even amazingly shot.
Yeah.
It's just like stabilized and stuff, and it's like, it looks clean-ish.
Yeah.
But he's just like performing the song, and he's kind of like awkward in it, and it's got like 410 million views.
Right. You know what I mean? Put out the content, people.
Yachty's last music video was all iPhone.
All iPhone. I mean, it's shot by Cole Bennett, but yes,
still.
No, it's a fact. Yeah, I love that. I love that Cole did that. I'm sure he had that idea for a while, and
He's done a few now. I think like his last 3 have been all iPhone.
Yeah, I wonder if he got an iPhone sponsorship or something.
He's wanting it. That's why he's doing it. Yeah, he keeps saying it. One question I had. So that they're called Amuse, right?
Yeah.
Other than, of course, getting your songs on playlists, what else were they doing that you weren't able to do by yourself?
So there's this new thing, like
pushing that freaking button. Go ahead.
Yeah, Nick loves this.
What's the button do?
So they have this thing. There's this new thing. I'm not sure. You can like Google it and stuff. It's called Discover Mode.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
It's called Discover Mode, I think.
Okay.
On Spotify.
Oh, I've heard about this. It's like the new TikTok version of Spotify. Is that right?
No, it's like a like
Spotify
Nick says,
for
I don't
you
know.
page.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
It's like a. So radio. You know when you like if you go listen to like your latest single, Connor, and then it will, if you don't have anything queued next, it will just like go on to like, Connor Price Radio, and then Nick might come up on it, or I might come up on it,
or whatever.
So yeah, it's like similar artists, but it's like it's an algorithm based thing. So it's like similar artists that you will still like, and that seems to be the thing. That's how they sold it to me. It was just like this Discover Mode, and we can basically pitch it into it. So it's only accessible to like certain distributors and certain labels. So it's not actually like completely independent artists, but I think maybe TuneCore and stuff. But like,
I think DistroKid is offering it now.
Because they're owned by Spotify, so
I think they're offering it now, and they take a cut of the. They're like, we will put you in this for 20%.
Yeah. So that's basically what I did.
Yeah.
I did like they're getting 30%, and they pitched me for it, and I got into it, and that's like, I mean, immediately, like Overwhelmed was doing 86,000 streams a day. It had peaked at like 142, but it was gone down to like 86, leveled out, and that was what it was doing a day.
He's setting up a mic drop.
He's getting ready for the mic drop, and then the day after, so they do it monthly. So on the 1st of December, it went up to 185,000.
What is it now?
A day. Now it's doing 303,000 a day.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So,
come on. For
like
30% and a stupid.
Wait, so I just want to clarify on this Discover Mode. So pretty much what it's.
They push a button. That's all they do, and they get money for it.
I know. So, but what it's doing is it's pushing your song onto people's Discover Mode. So when they finish a song, the likelihood of yours coming up next is higher because you're on it. Is that right?
I think so, but I think it's again, I have no clue really what it is. They just told me
it's working,
that it's a thing, and it's a thing, and it exists, and they could pitch me for it.
It took you from how many monthly listeners? Like 780 or something?
7, just below 800, and now 2.5 million monthlies. Yeah, incredible. So it's like, it's just like, it's crazy.
Okay, I do want to know this. Have your followers on Spotify been affected by it?
Yeah, but not as much as they would if I found the best way to get followers on Spotify is, and this is actually back to the point of when you said if I do like a rewrite or a verse thing, I would always comment underneath it. And now that you can pin the comment, it's even better.
Yeah.
But I would always comment, as always, my Spotify is, and then in inverted commas, Ryan Mack. And immediately the next day you'd see like 2,000-3,000 people jump over to your Spotify.
Yeah.
And that's just building that like this web that you can just, when you release the next song, it goes into their either the release radar or whatever, you know.
Yep. You talk about that a lot.
I do, yeah. How many followers do you have on Spotify?
116,000, 117,000.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
So, and do you know how much I had when I started TikTok?
Okay, yes, I do want to know this.
2,000.
2,000. So TikTok took you over 100,000 more followers on Spotify.
Yeah. So it works. Like if you just tell them to do it.
If you're an artist, get on TikTok.
All the above.
Yeah, man.
Gosh.
It's a good, but the Discover thing, like to kind of tie a knot on that, I don't really know what it is. I just know it exists. It's a new feature. If and it's in its beta stage is what I was told. And it's working. And my friend who is signed to a label, I told him about it, and he asked his label, like about it. He was like, "What's this?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, we know about it, but we don't have access to it yet." So it's like I said, because it's in the beta stage, I'm not sure how much access they're given or what it is, but it works. So I'm sure.
And so far, you've only seen it affect Overwhelmed.
No, I've seen it affect Broke as well.
Okay.
Another song called "Guess That's Love." I've seen it affect those, but it's just in the percent. Like, you know, Overwhelmed. What they said to me is they basically take a song that is like a hit that they have, and they can make it more of a hit because the algorithm reads it. Because so like as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware, if you get one in the Discover thing, it bounces it around, and the more people that like save it and stuff, you know, and like go back and listen to it again, then it goes, okay, well, this is performing like any kind of algorithm. It's like this is performing great. Let's pump it into more, you know, and that's why the streams are obviously going up and not down.
I love it.
So yeah,
Bree, any?
I have one more question for him. It's more of a creative question because you're so good, Ryan, at writing really relatable songs about anxiety, feeling broke. Now that you're where you're at and you have the success that you have, do you find it harder to write those topics, or is it still easy to tap into that part of your life?
Firstly, thank you. And then like, I mean, I still get anxious. I still, you know, get stressed.
I think I'm more anxious.
Yeah, I'm not joking.
I'm not at your guys' level, but yeah, I would agree.
And I mean, like when I wrote like Overwhelmed, it's like, you know, I overthink a lot. And me and Nick spoke about this yesterday. And Nick's like, I don't even think about, you know, he's just like, does his vocal, and it's just like, here you go, distro kid, put it out. And like,
Take it.
Nick forgets he has songs coming out. I'm like, fucking, I go through the mixing process, like, I'm super anal about it. I'm like,
I'm the same. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm like,
I'm trying to work on it. I'm trying to get a little bit more like.
So am I.
find
Yeah,
that
I
balance.
told Nick I need a leaf out of his page, his book, man. It's like, so like, that's where my kind of anxiousness comes from. Is like, it's just like a million things on my plate, and like how to kind of tackle them all at once and not getting overwhelmed like that. And trying to be a little less of an overthinker in the kind of creative process. But there is times where I'll be like, I have no idea what I'm going to do creatively for TikTok this week, or, you know, it's just like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to fall off. Here it is. This is the end of the road.
This is it. I ain't even get my pub deal yet.
Yeah. I'm like, quick, I need to scoop up as many racks as I can.
Sorry to interrupt. When you feel creatively burnt out on TikTok, do you usually go with your gut and let that, like, you go with that feeling, or do you fight it and go against it and create content when you know you're not feeling it naturally?
Yeah, most times I just show up every day. I've got the good thing about making some money at being an independent artist is I was able to build a little studio here in my house. So I just come up regardless, no matter what day it is. I don't take a day off unless like my girlfriend's off on like a Wednesday and a Sunday. So those 2 days I kind of like chill out a little bit with her. But I just come up every day, and I'm like, even if I couldn't think of anything the night before, I'll sit down and be like, either work on a new song, or if I seen something like, you know, like that new Charlie Puth song, Light Switch, I'm like, I could do a verse on that. And if it does well, it does well. And if it doesn't, there's another video somewhere, you know? I think that's the reason why people like us, who are independent artists and didn't have a huge following beforehand, aren't afraid to do it, because we're not afraid to fail, and we're not afraid to look like, oh, Nick only got 10,000 views in that video last night. Who gives a shit? Nick's going to put another video out tomorrow. It's going to get 500,000 views. Whereas like big artists who are signed to labels and stuff are like, I was streaming well before this. If I put something out now, people will think I'm a failure because I'm only getting like 2,000 views and no one's watching me. And it's like, you can't be afraid of it. You got to just
I
go
want
through
to
the
talk to you
fire.
about this one last thing, because I think we already talked about it. I don't want to name the artist unless you think it's not like, unless you think it's okay to do that. I think it went pretty viral anyway, but because you brought it. I mean,
it's a discussion. It's a discussion.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be. You know, everyone's seen it.
Okay, all right, yeah. Then let's talk about that.
Yeah,
I forget what it said, so just go ahead and like preface it.
Yeah, so Connor, I'm not sure if you'd seen it, but you know, like Chelsea Cutler did a post, and it was like, you know, about TikTok and how it's volatile, and it's not creating longevity for artists and stuff like that. And it's just like, you know, one big song and then boom, like that artist might just fall off the face of the earth and never have a big song again on TikTok. And I can completely agree with her on that. I can see that side of it. But it was like everybody in the industry was feeling the same, and they were all commenting underneath it and stuff. And again, like I said, yeah, every signed artist. But like I can totally put myself in her shoes and be like, yeah, to be able to have to create every day can get exhausting, and that's when I get burnt out. Like burnout is a real thing, and it can. You turn up and you're like, fuck, I do not want to do this. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to figure this out. But I enjoy creating content, and that's why I do it. So like for me, before TikTok, I was broke. I had no money. I didn't have a career. I couldn't call this a profession. And now I can because of TikTok, and it's allowed me to have that audience. And yeah, some people might just come across a video and follow me, and I have 1.7 million followers, and it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get 1.7 million streams on the first day of dropping a song.
Yeah.
But you just have to come to terms with that and be like, if I can just, if 1,000 people follow me and only 10 stick every time, then, I read a thing ages ago, it's like 1,000 true fans. If you can get 1,000 true fans, you can make a living out of it. So for me, it was that. And Nick, you had like good points on that as well.
On the TikTok thing or the 1,000?
Yeah, just on like creating stuff and
yeah. I mean, I think it's right now. If you're not on TikTok, then you're missing a boat. And I think the issue is that there are these signed artists, right, that they have a career, and now that something new is here, and they have their way that they were doing it, and the way that they done it, and the way that it has always been done, and the way blah blah blah. And I think times are changing, right? And it's just difficult for people to adapt. But I do feel like, if you really take and I think this is maybe where she's coming from, she probably really takes her art seriously, right? Like she really is in love with creating music and creating a deep connection with, something. And then we have something so surface level, maybe, as most TikTok songs, right? Then I think maybe that's where her disconnect is. Like, it could be that, but there are artists like you and myself and Connor that can create an actual support system. And I think the best way to do that is to not be surface level on a surface level app, right? You have to show that there's a deeper side to you, speak about things. Because with the Freddie Show, the podcast that I have with Cakes, people can connect to me as a person first, and then when they find my music, they're that much deeper connected to my music already because they already related to me as a human being. So I think it's just you have to use the app in that way, not necessarily right off the app. Yeah,
and I think and like a good point she said is like she's much happier when she's not on her phone. She hasn't spent much time on her phone, and I agree. I'm the same.
Absolutely.
If I can take as many breaks away from my phone and as little time on my phone all week as I can, I feel better. But
and I also think it's different if you have a full team of a label around you and management and all these people working your songs for you.
Yeah,
sure. What do you need TikTok for? But as an independent artist who doesn't have anything, and the only platform that has organic reach, that you don't have to pay to play. Yeah, you're gonna use it.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I feel like on the phone topic, it's easy to say you don't want to be on your phone when you have stuff already. Yeah. But an independent artist who is broke, lifting furniture, would love to get 30 grand off a song because of his phone.
For sure. And that's like, that was my thing starting TikTok. I was like, I can, my first notion when I started doing TikToks, and the reason why I started doing the covers is, like, Shawn Mendes was discovered on Vine. And I was like, I hadn't seen anyone really doing too much music on TikTok. And everyone was like, oh, TikTok's the new Vine. And I was like, if I can just do some covers and stuff and build a following that way, I could build myself towards a record deal, whatever the deal I'm after doing now. That was my kind of long-term goal. Yeah. And that's why I decided to use it. And again, I can't express enough how much I can agree with Chelsea Cutler too.
There's two sides, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and how much I love her music, firstly, and like, she's a great person, and I actually like everything about her. I just thought that,
the whole team over there is great. Mutual friends and great. Visionary, and they're all great. Yeah.
It's just like, I just felt like, the other side of it is like, and don't get me wrong, there's 100% artists who've, like got one big song on TikTok and then the next song is,
absolutely,
it doesn't do anything.
Every day.
I put that down to them. Yeah. That's not down to, the fact that TikTok is a volatile place. Yeah. It's up to you you're literally holding your own future in your hands. Yeah. And you've got to, do as much as you can to make that beneficial for yourself or whatever. And like TikTok, I mean, it's given people who had no careers.
Yeah. And I think there's a place for both.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's still room for both.
I can't express how many artists I listen to on Spotify that I do not follow on any social media.
I would love to know if one of her songs has had success on TikTok. Like, not necessarily her posting it, but people using it in
Yeah, I think the one with Jeremy Zucker. I think I can't remember the name of it.
You think it
off the top of
did
my
fairly
head.
well on there?
Yeah, it became like a trend thing, and like
I mean, that's great.
they-
You know, so she's seen some success or benefit from the app, not necessarily being on it, but
Yeah.
but like her music being used on it, and
yeah,
so that's great.
But the thing she said was she felt the pressure of like the industry.
yeah, I
being
bet
like, you
her
have to be on
label's
TikTok.
saying, "Come on,
Yeah.
get on TikTok." You know, I would.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. No,
Because like I
get
would
it.
argue the point: if you don't like TikTok
And if you're not that
and
type
you don't
of
think
creator,
it's for you,
yeah,
you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that on the kind of surface, and it's probably
Absolutely.
like technically she doesn't have to do it, but like there's
Yeah.
probably people asking
oh,
her
yeah,
to
in
do
her
it
ear,
or
yeah.
saying you have to because we've this artist we're going to sign and they're after doing it.
yeah.
And, they're
And if you
blowing
don't
up
have the
and-
personality for it,
yeah, but I'll always listen to her music regardless
Oh,
of if
no
she
doubt,
puts on
yeah,
TikTok or
yeah.
anything.
yeah,
So it's just a weird one, but like I said, for me, for you, for Connor, for thousands
it's
of other
changing
people,
lives.
it's really changed their life, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah,
and that's
I love it.
can't argue with that.
And we love you, Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I will listen to her.
Yeah.
One of her songs, "Calling All Angels," is in my on repeat on Spotify, and like it's like number 4. I can't stop listening to it. I just thought that like the other side of that coin was
Yeah.
artists like us three and
Absolutely.
thousands of others who
Yeah.
have really just become. I enjoy it, and that's the thing.
Oh,
At the
yeah.
end of the day, I enjoy it. I
It's my
enjoy
favorite
creating
app.
content. Yeah.
It's my favorite
What
app.
about YouTubers and stuff? YouTube was a thing.
Yeah.
The industry constantly changes.
Oh
and
yeah.
we just kind of all have to adapt to it as it's going.
Agreed.
I know you see guys like Russ adapting. He's now posting on TikTok a ton.
Love it.
Charlie
Yeah,
Puth,
and he had that.
signed artist,
Charlie
killing
Puth.
TikTok.
Yeah, I'm sure people who, when Spotify was becoming a thing, people who were slinging CDs hated it.
Yep.
Yeah.
People who were selling physical copies were
Yeah.
like, "Fuck this
Yeah,
shit."
they were angry.
Spotify is
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
killer of all the music industry, and now it's the thing.
Yep.
I couldn't get playlisted on Spotify. I got playlisted once until I could blow up on TikTok.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
It's true.
All right. Anything?
you know,
I'm good, man. That was
Agree?
awesome.
No, I'm good. I asked everything I needed to. It's been a pleasure, Ryan, truly.
Anything else
thanks
you
a
got?
lot.
You want to share? Or are we good?
No, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Awesome.
I just wanted to cater for whatever you needed.
No, it was amazing, man.
Thank you for
Thank you for your
sharing
time.
your story and sharing like the details of your deal and the pros and
Yeah, no
cons.
problem.
And I'm sure it's going to offer a lot of value to a lot of artists out there that need to
Yeah.
hear it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing I want to do is by speaking about it and
Yeah.
and the likes of Nick as well. Nick inspired me to stay independent because he said you don't need them. you don't need record labels. It's not that you don't need them. Certain artists might need them, but it's just to know that there is a way out there to not have to rely on that as the only way.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's nothing
That's-
wrong, right? Just what are you built for?
No.
What are you, and when I look at you, you're built for independent, Simple
Yeah,
as that.
I feel it now.
Yeah.
I didn't feel it before. I feel it now.
Yeah, you get a little,
Yeah.
little money in your pocket.
Cool little 30 mil.
You feel good. Yeah.
Yeah. You start rocking on your own time and you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
You're
this is
like,
cool.
okay, this does taste good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, drink the Kool-Aid, man.
Yeah.
Drink it up.
All right. Well, we really appreciate you coming on here.
All right,
and
thanks for
sharing
having me, lads.
Thank you. Until next time.
I'm getting tired of calls, getting tired of texts. Wasn't ready to fall, now I don't know what's next. Wishing you were right here, laying right next to me.